So this is part two, an update to my absolute beginner guide. This is going to be a basic graphics, sound, and some NPC animation overhaul. It doesn't cover any gameplay, so it's designed mainly for people new to the game or new to modding, or maybe just new to Skyrim VR and want a nice graphical overhaul but want to keep everything else pretty much vanilla. So we're going to go through step by step on all the mods. This is going to assume you already watched part 1. Part 1.5 is optional, but if you want to know more about how Mod Organizer 2 works, I would watch that one as well. So if you followed part 1, your setup here should look like this. One update since then is locational damage did get updated. So you want to download the update and then hit OK and you can merge it. So since it was updated, the INI file also got updated. So right click, open in Explorer, go into the folders and go into .ini. So if before you change the notification to true, change this back to false. As far as the other parameters, he changed these to what I had the default, what I changed them to in my last video. And he added a spell damage multiplier. So if you find spell damage is still too strong, you can change this down. You can even disable it all the way at 0. So go ahead and close out of that. Alright, so the first mod we're going to talk about is Imaginator. So this is a mod that lets you change basically the color, saturation, contrast, the brightness. Since all the headsets kind of have different screens, different lenses, certain saturation colors look better depending on your headset. So this kind of lets you tweak it to your preference. The problem with the special edition version of this is there's no easy menu to configure it. You got to summon this little guy, and then he has a talk menu, and you go through it. An easier way is using the old version from Oldrim. The problem is you need to convert it, so I already converted it. I'll put the link in the description. Once you download it, go to wherever you downloaded it, click on it, and then you'll get this pop-up. To get to the install, you click this, the second icon here, hit OK, and activate it. We've got our Imaginator there. So what that'll do is, I'll show you real quick. When you're in game, you go to the menu where you would save your game, save load. There'll be another one that says mod configuration, and go in there and you'll see Imaginator. And then the main thing you're worried about is the general right here, contrast, brightness, saturation. On the Oculus Rift, I bring my contrast up to about 20 to 25, and the saturation I go to about 5. So you can mess with that and it'll change in real time, so you can just play with the values and see what you like. It's got other things. These are like preset that change all three of these at once. Bloom and cinematic. I don't really mess with these too much, and I don't touch the colors, but if you want to mess with your overall coloring, you can do that here too. Alright, so that's Imaginator. Next one up is going to be custom favorites menu. So this just makes it easier, an easier display for all your custom, for your favorites menu. So I just like the layout better. It's easier to get through when you have a whole lot of stuff. So go ahead and download that. And now this has the problem with this is if you have a mod in here and it doesn't have the right tags, it's just going to go under other. So this person here, if you go to description, requirements, go to this top one, double chocolate cheese deluxe. Um, he basically added support for a whole bunch of mods. So it puts them in the right categories when you're sorting them. If not, it just kind of goes to the unsorted. But I find this a lot better way to organize your favorites menu. So if we come down here, custom favorites menu, okay, and the config, and you hit OK. All right, next up is going to be the unofficial patch. Unfortunately, the unofficial patch here does not work for SkyrimVR properly. You're going to break parts of your game if you use it. If you use the VR fixes, what is it? It's like US EP VR or something. Yeah, this one. This is completely obsolete. It does not work because it was designed for the version that came out way back in April. Well, there's several versions past that now, so this, just installing this does absolutely nothing. You want an older version of this one, but the mod author refuses to host it. I don't know why. It's a long story, but anyway, so unfortunately the only way to get it now is messaging me on Reddit because I've tried to host it places, he has it removed, so I've been resorted to PMing people. It's a real pain in the ass, but I don't know what else to do. So I'll put, once I send it to you, you will, same thing, you'll go here in your folder, wherever you download it to. It'll say just unofficial here. I would click on that and just get the full name there, hit OK, and you will activate that. If you look at your plugins, if you notice it's kind of a italic font compared to these and bold, that's because it's a master file. These are all the game masters. These are flat. It's basically an ESP plugin flagged as a master. The only reason I bring that up is all it means is this is going to load before all these, no matter what order it's in, because that's what ESP flagged master file ESM files are. So it's not really that important, but just bring it up to the top because that's where it's going to load anyway. All right, next up is lucidity. So this is a basic sound remaster. So it's going to remaster all the original sounds. So just go ahead and download the top one. I already downloaded it because it's kind of long, kind of big. You don't want to wait. All right, so once you have it downloaded, go ahead and click OK. There's nothing special you got to do with that one. While that's going, go ahead and look up Immersive Sound Compendium. Immersive Sound Compendium. Alright, this is the main sound overhaul for the game that I use. Go to Files, Download. Okay. And this one I did download also. So once this is done installing, click the box and activate it. And then you want to install Immersive Sound. So this one has some options. These options can be changed mid-play if you want. You can add stuff if you don't, or you want to change something, but I'll go through what I use. So I use default, high fantasy, default, high fantasy, so all the defaults on that. For this, I do all three. You can read the descriptions here. It'll tell you what it does if you decide you want it, if you don't want it. High fantasy, yes. And then this, same thing, I do all three. So for this one, the Nern roots, I like them silent because I don't like the noise, so I disable it, and I don't do any of these. And then install. So if you keep this installed or downloaded over here, at any time you can come in here and reinstall it and change your selections. If not, then you got to re-download it, and then you can do the same thing. It's not too big of a deal. All right, next up is relighting Skyrim. Relight. So this one, if you just look at the pictures, it changes how the light sources emit the light. So it looks a lot more natural than the default setup. So grab that one. Okay. Next up is kill the orchestra. So this is an optional one. It's going to be in the link will be in this description because for some reason they removed it from Nexus. So download it and then you'll install it. What this lets you do is disable any specific music tracks in the game. I personally play the game with no music at all. I prefer just the ambient sounds. Some people, I mean, obviously it's just personal preference, but it's nice because you can even just maybe if you want the world wall music or just special reveal music or just tavern, you can turn on or off anything you want. And then it'll go through the DLC. So same thing, just whatever you want on or off, or you don't have to use this at all. It's this one's completely personal preference. And same thing with this one, you can reinstall it whenever and change your selections. Okay, next up is 360 walk and run. So this is going to be a animation replacer. Go here, and this will replace animations on NPCs. Also your player character, but you're not going to be seeing your player character for them, so it doesn't really matter too much. So when you go to install it, do recommended, 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 and BBP off. This is for physics stuff. In this guide, I'm not going over physics stuff, so this has to be off. Then next, and then for this, you don't. This one's optional. So what this will do is it'll reduce your backwards speed. Normally, backwards sprinting or moving is almost as fast as forward. So if you want to make it a little more realistic, you can click that on, but it's optional. And then this recommended, click it on. So if you click that, you'll get this extra speed adjust one. So it's up to you if you want to do the backwards speed adjust or not. So next one, you're going to stay on the same page and go down here to YY Mystic Knight. And these are going to be combat animations. All these are just walking animations. So for here, for this one, I use everything. So every tick box. Wish they would have put a check all or install all, but for whatever reason he did not. So all the way down, and so it's going to ask because it was named the same to merge it into this, or you could rename it. If you merge it, all it's going to do is put the files in the same folder. You could rename it to YY Mystic Knight, and then that'll make a new folder. So for that one, it doesn't really matter. They're not going to get updated anymore, so it hasn't been updated in years, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. So if you just hit merge, then you won't have this extra folder. It'll just put it right inside of that one. So either way works. Okay, next up is another optional one. This is Dawn of Skyrim. The only reason I put this as optional is because on lower end systems, it might have some performance issues. I'd say if you're on a 1070 or higher, you should be fine. But 1060, you might be pushing a little bit. what this does is it has a nice visual overhaul to all the major cities. Um, so it's going to be 2 downloads, the main one here, and then there's an update. So get the main one, and then also the update. We'll go ahead and download the main one first, and then the update. So now the update, you're going to click OK, and this one you do want to merge. So whenever you're doing an update or something like of those along those lines, update a patch, whatever, you want to merge it into the main one. Make sure you don't hit replace though. If you hit replace, then all the files will be gone and all you'll have is that update and the mod won't work. So merge and then activate it. Okay, next up is the particle patch. So this is a basically some edited objects that were overly bright. It's for EMBs, but even though I'm not going over EMBs in this, it actually works well for VR. This one isn't on Nexus. It's actually on the Particle Patch website, or the EMB website. But if you just type in Google Particle Patch SSE, the first one that comes up will be this one, which is the right one. And then you want to come here and you want the special edition right here. So it'll be a mega link and download. And see, it's going right up there and downloaded. So this one, same thing, you just install it like those other mods and activate it. Okay, next up, enhanced UV. Okay, enhanced UV. So this one just improves the appearance of a lot of textures. You can go through the pictures and look. It's kind of subtle when you're looking at the pictures, but it's definitely worth having. Just get the main one here. You can read the whole description on like exactly what it does. I don't want to do that for every mod, or this video will be like 3 hours long. People said my last one was too long, so, and this is more mods, so I don't want to spend too much time on each mod. Alright, so once this is done, there we go. So this one has a couple options, so I'll show you on here. Okay, so you're not gonna check sim conflicting, so don't check that. Go to next, and then for here, you're just gonna check I want it all number 2. So basically that's checking all of these but the stone walls, because we're gonna replace the stone walls with something else. And then do both of these, and you can use this one here. Don't do any of these, and hit install. So that's going. Next up is going to be static mesh. Static mesh improvement. This just improves the overall appearance of tons of objects in the game. The biggest ones for me are the ropes. The vanilla ropes look so bad, so it makes them nice 3D ropes. But it does a lot of objects. Go ahead and download. Alright, we'll let that go. That's a long one. So let that go. We'll hit activate on here. Then when that's going, we can go on to the next one. The next one is material fix. Material fix. So what this does is it fixes a lot of objects that are they weren't set up right when the person made them, or it's actually a lot of them are vanilla objects that the creators messed up. Some examples are wrong footstep sounds when you're going over some objects, spark sounds. it kind of explains it here, but this is the person's attempt to fix all those inconsistencies in this game. So we'll go get that. Alright, so we'll wait a second here because static mesh is almost done. Now this one is somewhat performance heavy. Again, with just this list, 1070 should be fine. But it does have an option. So when you're going to install it, for 1070s and above, I would use the full. For 1060s or lower equivalents, use the light. So do everything 1070 or above, or light for lower end systems, then hit install. Alright, so we got that, and then we'll do the unofficial material fix. Go right under that. Alright, next up is Noble. So this is going to be one of the main texture packs for the game. Covers a good bit of the game. Not everything, but it covers most of it. So Noble Skyrim. And you're going to want to get the full pack 2K. It's pretty big. Performance, again, would only be if you have a really lower end. Like if you had the 1063 gigabyte, then maybe you go with the full pack. But if you have anything with 4 gigs or higher system memory, go ahead and get the full pack. So you go ahead and download that. Yes. Alright, so I already have it downloaded, so we didn't have to wait. So we can go ahead and install that. That's one of the longest ones here. So the next one is called Ruins Clutter. Improved. This just retextures a lot of stuff you'll see in dungeons. You want to get the second download right here, the one that says NMM. And while that's downloading, there's a fix mod for this that just fixes a couple of issues it had. So if you go type in Ruins Clutter again, second one down is fixes. Go ahead and download that. Okay. So download this one, or install this one first. And for this, just install everything. And install the fixes. And let's activate them all. Remember, when you install a mod, it's not actually going to work until you click the little box and activate it. Okay, next up is Realistic HD Master. HD Remaster. It's going to be this one here. HD Remaster Collection. So we'll download that. And this is just more textures that covers a whole group of textures. I tried to keep most of this to bigger collections that hit a lot of stuff instead of doing, tons of individual retextures. So just go ahead and install that and activate it. All right, so after that we have Mysterious Dawns. Okay, Mysterious Dawns HD. Just careful with the spelling. They don't spell it mysterious. But this is going to be the main landscape overhaul that I use. And with this one, if you have a 1080, let's say a 1080 or higher, you can probably get away with high quality. Everyone else just use the medium. Even on the higher end systems, the medium one looks fine. If you have a like Pimax 8K or something, you might like the highest quality on this one. This one actually looks pretty good in uh, even at the 4K resolution. A lot of mods at 4K and VR don't look right. You'll get a lot of like shimmering noise off of them. But this author does a really good job of keeping that to a minimum. So even at 4K, it looks pretty good. So this is one of the few mods I would say looks fine at the highest quality, the 4K version. But if you're trying to save on VRAM, then get the 2K version. And that can be changed in any time. All these textures, you can swap them in and out mid-game if you want. So we'll go ahead and install that. Alright, next up is going to be 3D stone walls. Alright, so this just replaces a lot of these ugly stone walls along farmlands. You'll see them a lot along outside of Whiterun and stuff. Makes them look a lot better. Well, that's going. We're actually going to have three walls, but they all do different things. So this one is actually an Oldrim mod, so make sure you're going to the original Skyrim Nexus and you're going to type in stone walls. And it's going to be this top one here. This is a non-SSE mod, but it's one that works fine in SSE. Not all mods need to be converted to work fine. And this is just a little replacer, and I've been using it for hundreds of hours with no issue. Alright, so we'll do 3D stone walls first. And let's activate all these. And then landscape overhaul, so this one. So for this one, you don't want to check any of these. Leave all these unchecked. Go to next. For this one, I do the medium and install. And this little icon, as I mentioned in my last video, just means it's an Oldrim mod, but that's fine. And the last stone wall one we're going to get is called 3D walls. So real 3D walls here. And you're going to get both of these. So download the top one and the bottom one. And these make the walls around farmhouse areas and stuff really pop out 3D. So it looks really good in VR too. So 3D walls. And then, because this is just a patch, you're going to go OK and remember merge it in and activate. Okay, next up is our weather overhaul, Obsidian. So this is my favorite weather overhaul for VR for a couple reasons. One, it looks the most natural to me, but the other is it has a reduced sunlight option, which I like a lot. So when you're in game, where your shouts are, it's going to give you a new power to customize this overhaul. You want to basically, when you can first save your game after you get past the whole intro sequence, you want to go in and use the power, and you want to activate the seasons feature. And then there's a bunch of color presets, and then once you get out of the beginning cave and you get out into the world, you can select through the color presets and see which one you like best. There's a fantasy one, there's a couple different ones, so you can see which color scheme you like best. But then there's a sunlight option that reduces the power of the sunlight. In VR, you get a lot of aliasing from bright surfaces. So if you're looking at like trees and stuff and you get a lot of shimmering and aliasing there, reducing the sunlight brightness greatly reduces that effect. So I like to put it at 100%, but you can play with the different percentages to kind of get whichever you want. I don't know if he's got a picture of the screen there. No, not. of the configuration. But so just when you go in game, activate the power, and it'll bring up the menu to configure it. So obsidian, okay, and activate it. Okay, next up is going to be, it's called Yi. So this is a snowflake retexture. This one looks a lot better than the one that comes with obsidian. It was actually made for obsidian, so this actually will only work with obsidian because that's what it's set up for. So click OK. Okay, next up is my cloud overhaul that I like, which would be ethereal. Ethereal clouds. And for this one, I get the 2K. And then we're also going to get the ethereal cosmos. And this is the sky overhaul I like. So for this one, you have two options that I would recommend, either Twinkle Subdued or Vivid. If you want these auroras super like bright colors and vivid, get the Vivid version. If you want it more subdued, get this Twinkle Subdued one. It's just personal preference. I like the Vivid myself, but some people might not like the colors as much. Might prefer this one, and you can try either one in game and revert to the other one whenever you want. That's fine. Okay, let's activate these. All right, next up is grass. So grass is kind of a pain in the ass in Skyrim because grass mods are easily the biggest FPS hogs in the game. So if you use one of the bigger ones like Verdant or Vados Brome, you're looking at like a 40 FPS drop in some places. So we have a mod author that's kind of working on a VR grass right now. So if that comes out, I'll try to add it to the comments of this video. But for now, I just use the grass booster. Um, so just this top one here. Yes. This gives you a retexture in the grass and a couple other options. So for this one, quality is good for, again, 1070 and above, and 1060 below type do performance. Retexture, yes. And then for this, just none, and install. Okay, after that we got water. So I use the cathedral water mod. It's got a nice, in VR during the day it's a little more green, but I like this one because it takes care of the water edge issue better than other mods where you get like this seam on the water's edge. It's actually caused by fog, um, but this one clears it up a lot better. So in VR you don't get water reflections in the distance, it's just a limitation of how it's viewed in VR. So it's just going to kind of look like this all the way out, unfortunately. But that's with any water mod, so it doesn't matter which one you pick in terms of that. None of them have working reflections in VR. Let's see, next up is going to be our tree mod. So for trees, I like enhanced vanilla trees. I use the release candidate 4 version. So download. Hopefully soon he'll be out of release candidate and just move it to the main one, but as of today, it's still release candidate 4. Let's see, darker. And while that's downloading, the next one's going to be 3D plants. So it's going to take you to 3D trees and plants. And the reason I don't use these trees, even though they're 3D compared to the other ones have like 2D looking branches, is performance on these can be a bit heavy even on higher end systems. I'd say if you had like a 2080 Ti, then you could use this one. But the other issue is the distance, the LOD. So these models look really bad for the 3D trees, unfortunately. And you'll get a lot of like mirrored ones where they kind of look like two of them are attached together. And then the transition from the full model or the LOD to the full model is really noticeable, whereas in enhanced vanilla trees, it's a more subtle change from the full model to the LOD and back and forth. So I don't know. I mean, there's pros and cons of both. I mean, this one you get really nice pine needles and everything that are all 3D, but you have the performance issues and you have the distance issues. But it has a plants only download, which if you go down here, and this makes all your plants 3D, because that's one of the things that bothers me the most is plants, because they're all just 2D cutouts basically. So this makes them all 3D. Go here, and you're also going to get static planners. This one here, and you're also going to get the Gilder Green. So just don't get this main one here. Alright, yeah, one of them failed to download, so it was the Gilder Green one. Sometimes if you try to download too many at once, it'll give you an error. Just re-download it, and there it goes. Okay, so for enhanced vanilla trees, you have some options here. So the main two you're going to worry about is if you want smaller, larger trees. So do post-processing, even though it says for EMB and VR, you want the darker bark. So I use either custom large or custom small. So the difference is the custom large, the trees are about 50% bigger than vanilla. I think it looks better, but some people might not like that, so you can do the small if you want. I personally do large. You want to do enhanced tree clutter, realistic aspen, and then do pre-generated LODs. This mod isn't. It's trying to be a basic mod, so not going over dyndolod, any other external programs. So we'll just do pre-generated and then darker. And LODs are just the distance, the 2D distance trees, the little cutouts that load way out in the distance. For this one, I like version 4. You can go to this video here, and it'll have a video that goes between each coloring. I like number 4. It's the darkest of all of them. And then click Vert Snowy Pine Trees. For this, don't use any of these. All this does is add 4K texturing. You don't need any of that. And hit install. The 2K on this looks fine. And go here. Okay, so we got that, and then we'll go to the 3D plants. So one thing about 3D plants is that also can be a little performance heavy. What you can do with 3D plants is use an external mod or an extra mod called remove useless plants. And what this will do is it'll get rid of all the extra bushes, ferns, and all that stuff, and it'll just leave the plants that are harvestable. I'd say there's about a 10 to 15 frames per second difference between this using it with that and without it. It's one of those things you can turn on or off mid-game too, so you can try without this, and then if you're having frame rate issues, try it with this active. Alright, what's up next? All right, blended roads. All right, blended roads, just the top download. So this just gives you 3D stones in the roads instead of just flat, just instead of a flat picture, it gives you actual 3D stones. When you're installing this, you want to use the really blended on both of them. Install. All right, up next is, okay, actually up next is going to be my edited textures. So basically I edited some textures in both of these to make them a little darker because a couple of them are super bright in VR and distracting. So I'll have a link in the description and it's just going to say meshes and textures for guide. So you can do the little drop down here to get the full name and click OK. It's mostly just recolors. I did edit some of the meshes in Enhanced Vanilla Trees to make them look better in VR, but for the most part it's just recolors so they're not so overly bright in VR. After that is our banners. So we have banners. So I need banners, if that's how you pronounce that. I use just this 2K one. And then we got, okay. And then next up is fences. The default fences in Skyrim can cause a lot of flickering in the distance, so these help that out a lot. I use the weathered 2K, so this one down here. Okay. Next up is dusty dust. So in the default vanilla game, if you look at a lot of interiors, the dust looks like these white specks. It's really, I don't know, it looks off. So this it retextures it so it actually looks like dust. It's pretty significant, so that's why I'm adding it on here. After that one is dimmer fog. This one too, just it's a little self-explanatory, but the default fog can be super thick sometimes. So this just kind of thins it out without completely removing it. Looks a lot more natural to me. So we did not download that. Download. Okay, dust effects and dimmer fog. For this one, do main and then optionals reduced. Now you can have it just turn all, like the fake fog and stuff. You can disable it all if you want, but I prefer this more transparency and then reduced here. So activate these guys. Next up is we're going to do some fire overhaul. So Embers HD. And with that, we're going to get Ultimate Fire. Now there is a special edition version of this, but it has some problems. So you're going to go to the original Skyrim Nexus, get the original one. And I use the medium resolution. So for Embers, you're going to do Embers 2K. And then use the Fireplace add-on, the top one. crater and forges, and then none of these. And for this one, because it's an older mod, you want to go to, we're going to delete a file, so, well, actually a folder. So you want to right click it, open in Explorer, go to meshes, and delete them. And that's it. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. Okay, so we're going to go back to Special Edition. So make sure you're on the right one when you're looking at these, because it matters which mods, because a lot of them overlap, so you want to make sure you're getting the right ones for the right, the ones that I'm actually downloading. So this next one is going to be an ice overhaul called Just Ice. And I use the 2K. Alright. And we're getting a couple more to go. I got about 15 or so. So next one is going to be Bellyaches. This is a creature pack that retextures most of the creatures in the game. And then while that's going, we also get his other one, the dragon one, that retextures the dragons. Okay. So for the creature pack, I just use his recommended. This one, if you want, you can go to custom and you can go through each one and kind of pick out the colors you like and all that. That's up to you. If you don't care, just hit his choice and hit install. Alright, dragon. Okay, next up is Book of Silence. Now this one's going to be a mod that I'm going to provide the download in the description. Did I download it? I didn't even download it. Okay, so Book of Silence is an older mod here. I guess while I'm explaining it, I can get the download from my website, because I have it linked here too. So this is it's basically the most popular equipment overhaul or retexture pretty much ever made. It overhauls most armors and weapons in the game. It does some creatures. I mean, if you look here, it's got almost 100,000 endorsements with, yeah, 10 million downloads. It's crazy, and almost a million unique downloads. We'll let that go for a minute because that's a big one, and I'll move along. But so basically, the Oldrim version has a whole bunch of parts to it, plus a content add-on. You have to convert all these and then combine the plugins into one. So I did all that, and so it's an all-in-one, and you just install it. It's all converted and ready to go. So I'll put the link in the description. While that's downloading, we'll go to the next one, which we're going to go back to our special edition page, and it's going to be cathedral weapon, or it's actually I think it's armory they called it. Yeah, cathedral armory. And this is just going to be retextures of, this has some of the Book of Silence ones in it, but it also has new meshes for some of these armors, updated models and stuff like that. So it's a pack of a whole bunch of stuff together. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And it's easier to do this in one pack than having 20 different 20 different armor mods to go through. So next up after that, it's rustic clothing. Yeah, that one didn't even start. Well, that's fine because we got to wait for this one to go. I should have had these done before. Forgot about this one. It's pretty long. Make sure you have enough space too when you're before you set all this up. This guide's I'll check at the end, but I want to say it's probably around 20 gigs once it's all installed. But before I end the video, I'll take a look and see so you have an idea exactly how much space you need. So this is almost done with Book of Silence here, and once this one's done, come back here and start this one. Alright, so this one started. I accidentally hit it twice. Okay, so since Book of Silence finished, we'll go ahead and go to our downloads, and you'll get your Book of Silence here. You can do the drop down and go OK. This is also why I'd get premium, because running this at having that download at 1 megabyte a second compared to the 13, 14, well, depending on what your max speed is though, but having to do this at 1 would take a while. If you do have a slow connection, you can queue all these up usually and just let it go like overnight or something. But if you have a decent connection, I would get the premium just so you actually get decent speeds out of it, because if not, yeah, it'll take a little while. While that's going, the next one's going to be rustic clothing. So while Book of Silence covers all your armors, and this as well, this covers the clothing. So for this one, I do just the 2K here. This one, if you do 4K and a lot of the armors, when you're moving, this really just shimmers like crazy. It'll like kind of, I don't know, it doesn't look good to me. You'll get that shimmer effect on movement from the aliasing. So we'll go ahead and do that. So for this one, I don't believe it has any options. Let's see here. Oh yeah, this one does. Okay, so yeah, for this one though, you don't have to don't select any of these. And that's it. This does weapons too. It's weapons and armor in the cathedral one, so it includes like the better meshes, better shaped weapons and stuff. So it's got a lot of stuff in one mod, so it's pretty good all-in-one type thing. All right, and we'll go with rustic clothing here. All right, so that one is done. All right, moving along, we got Ragnarok. This is just a retexture of the rugs. Use the 2K here also. Yep. And his pelt mod. Just a retexture of the pelts and all that fun stuff here. I use the full version. Okay. And the pelts. Alright. Coming up next is Stunning Statues. Let's just a overhaul of almost every statue in the game. Well, that's going. We're going to do, it's called Awesome Potions. I think you have to put in the XX. Yeah. So it's XX Awesome Potions. This is my favorite potion replacer. Uh, it looks really good in VR too. So for this one, I get the XL one. So XL download. Alright, so for stunning statues, this is another one. I don't know why it doesn't give you a check all, but this one has a lot of options because it lets you customize basically every single one of these. So for all of them, you're going to select HD mesh and some form of 2K. So you can look at the picture and kind of decide if you want which one you want. I'll pick the ones I normally pick, but just kind of look at the picture and see which one you think looks better. HD mesh. So this one, the HD is fine. The Ultra is crazy amount of polys. And 2K here. HD mesh, 2K, HD mesh. And this one, I usually do the black. Do I? Yeah. HD mesh, and then this one I usually do the lava. This one, HD mesh up top, and 2K. Yeah. HD 2K, HD 2K, HD 2K, HD 2K, HD, the black one, HD 2K, Skyforge, this one, HD, this one, HD 2K, and that's it. So you can always change those if you don't like the ones that I picked. It's just make sure you're doing the HD mesh, but then the texture, whichever one. It doesn't really matter. All right, potions. Statue potion. All right, next up is WICO. So this one's also going to be a custom download. It's this mod here, but I removed all the extra stuff. If you ever hear people complaining about this mod doing extra fixes and stuff, there's a script you run on it that removes all that. So it's already ran, and I got it right here. It also includes texture, skin textures and stuff. Yeah, so I'll put that link in the description. All right, after WICO, we're gonna do a little, since we don't have any hair replacers or anything, we got a mod that kind of retextures the default hair a little better, so I use just this top one. Okay. And then on top of that, I used improved long. Okay, and this is one of the most common ones in the game, and this is a little bit better than the bedhead one, but the bedhead covers more types of hair. So put that after that. Next up is Rustic Children. This is just this. So this one is also an Oldrim mod. So go to Oldrim again, and you're going to do Rustic Children. All this is a skin retexture of the children. It doesn't redo their faces, so they still kind of look a little like potatoes, but they their skin textures are a lot better. So you're going to get the 2K body 2K. That just does the face and the arms and stuff like that. And activate it. Nothing special is needed with that one. Okay, so now we're going to go back to here, and we're going to go back to the material fix one we got at the beginning, and we're going to get a couple patches. The reason we didn't get them at the start is they have to be lower in your order. So you're going to get the statues one, and you're going to get the fire effects one. And when you install this, right here, change this to patch. You can just type in patch. And then for this, you want to select the same one that you selected before. So we just did that one. And then hit install. And then for this one, it should auto keep that patch naming there. So just hit OK and merge. And then activate it. Okay, we're almost done. All right, next one's going to be Enhanced Magic vs FX, and it's gonna be an external download as well. So I'll put a link to it. Let's see, I don't think I downloaded that one. All right, well we can get that one real quick from my website here. But I'll put the link in the actual description, so you don't have to come on here and do it. I think I have it in this section. Enhanced Magic. Yep, right here. Alright, download. So what this does is it overhauls the appearance of the magic graphics that'll be in your hand when you're using a spell. The default ones just look like 2D kind of flickering images. This makes it look like, click on that. This makes it look like actual, did not mean to click on that. This shouldn't come up for you. I double clicked accidentally. Click on that. This will make it look like a 3D effect. All right. Next up is our lighting overhaul. So this works well with the relighting Skyrim. This changes the coloring. It says for EMB, but you don't need an EMB. It looks good without an EMB, and it's my favorite one in VR. It does make the interiors a bit dark. If it's too dark for you, you can just adjust the brightness how you want. You can also mess with it in Imaginator to kind of tune in your preference, but the default, just how it is I like it. So that's that one. Almost done here. So next is no stagger mod. To me, staggering in VR on the player is really annoying, where you're just kind of frozen, you can't do anything. So I always disable stagger. I'd say this is optional, I guess, but I don't know. I haven't really talked to anybody that likes the player stagger effect, so that disables that. And the last couple are going to be, well, next one's kind of optional. So you have VR Armored Hands. Oh, there's two versions actually. This is the older one. It's going to be this one by Crypt 67. So you can use this, or you can use VRIK. So VRIK adds an actual body. So you get an actual body. It has a power that you can use to configure it to adjust to your height and everything. And then it's got a menu in the mod configuration menu to adjust it further. It's just preference. Some people find the body that it doesn't exactly move perfectly with you, a little immersion breaking, and then others, as long as you have a body, they prefer that. So if you want this one, you can get this one. If you want, just arms here, you can get this one. By default, you can't change like what appearance of your hands look like. So using this mod, I'll show you, it gives you options to pick any different equipment in the game, vanilla equipment. It won't change with your armor, so you have to come back and reinstall it anytime you want the appearance to change. Whereas with VRIK, it will display whatever you actually equip. So if you want that one, just install it there. If you want the other one, just don't get that and get that one. That's completely personal preference. And then if you're gonna do something like Mage VR, you can put that at the end of this too. I don't use that one personally. And the last thing, this is for Oculus users only. If you have an Oculus Touch, I would get this vanilla hotkey for Oculus Touch. It's a different layout for the controller. I think this is a much better layout. The only issue is your tooltips in game won't reflect this, so make sure you look at this, maybe print it so you know exactly what each button does till you learn it. But I think it's more intuitive. Obviously, this is just for touch users, not for anybody else. So if you are going to use that, that can go at the end here. So that's the whole list. I'm going to go here and look at the size real quick so I can tell you guys. Let's see. So the whole size, yep, I was pretty close, 21.5 gigabytes. So make sure you have at least that amount of space for all these mods once they're installed. Remember to always start your game from within Mod Organizer 2 using the SKSE button here and hit run. That's if you don't do that, if you just loaded it through Steam, none of these mods will load. Yeah, and that's it. It's my updated beginners list. It's 65 mods roughly. Gives you a nice visual overhaul. For people that want something more in depth, my website here basically goes through a lot of the same stuff, but it goes way more in depth. There's a couple hundred mods, I think. I haven't really counted the one on here, but and it has a way more in depth NPC overhaul with a whole bunch of mods compared to just using WICO. So there's more people that want to spend more time modding, but for people that want to just get an overhaul and get in and play, this is a pretty good list. So hope it's helpful, and see you in the next one.